Alright, so it is time for a movie review. It's been a while since I did one of these. I think the last one I did was Anchorman 2, which was a while ago. But the thing is, it takes a lot to get me to go to a theater and pay $20 for this stuff. It really does. I mean, it's just costs way too much. It is insane. I get the whole inflation thing, but it's ridiculous how I remember movies being $7.50 and now they're like $25. Um, it takes a really big event, a lot of interest for me to go out and see stuff. Plus, it's all this, what kind of theater do I see it in? Do I see it in standard? Do I see it in IMAX? Do I see it in 3D? Do I see it in IMAX 3D? Do I see it in RPX? Do I see it in ETC? Do I see it in XYZ? Do I see it in high def? And all this nonsense, all this bullshit. And I'll try not to curse that much since this is a movie review, not one of my raw reviews. But all this nonsense. I just want to see a movie. Why are you making me think so much? There shouldn't be this much thought process into going to a movie. Whether I want to see something in standard for $12 with horrible sounds and crappy ass speakers, or see something for $50 that doesn't deserve to be $50. So enough of ranting. Let me talk about this. And this is Godzilla 2014 is one of those movies I'm glad I saw it at a theater, because I don't know if that would, watching it on my own, on my TV, it would transfer from, that way, if I would have that feel, have that same connection, have that same investment in the movie that I did at the theater. So I'm glad I saw it at the theater. And before I talk about the movie itself, let me talk about my history with the big green guy himself. As a kid, I was a huge Godzilla fan. I loved Godzilla. I adored Godzilla. He was my favorite, one of my favorite things as a kid. I was obsessed with him, and I'm sure many of you as kids were. I mean, he's just a legendary character. I mean, one of the greatest movie characters easily. However, 1998 was a bad year, and I haven't kept up that interest with. Now, I've always been interested in Godzilla. I mean, that's why I went to go see this movie, but I haven't kept up that attachment to Godzilla as a kid. I haven't seen those movies in forever. I haven't, I don't know where my old toys are. So, I kind of moved on from Godzilla, but 1998 was, I think, what moved me on. It was that bad Matthew Broderick movie. Oh my God. Very horrible movie. Even as an 8-year-old, I thought it was bad. I mean, Godzilla is such a unique character, and they just make him no different than the T-Rex from Jurassic Park. I mean, how does he look anything different than the T-Rex does? And Godzilla is not a dinosaur, god damn it. So, just a horrible production of Godzilla. Recreation of Godzilla in the 1998 movie. It kind of soured, my love affair with the Godzilla. But I still, this movie came out. I'm like, what? I used to love Godzilla as a kid. I want to feel like a kid again, and feel like a kid again is definitely what this movie did. 2/3 of the movie in, like, I was 30 minutes out from the end, and I was saying, oh my God, I'm going to have to really give this a kind of, not harsh review, but a very critical review, because there are a lot of things wrong with it. But Jesus H. Christ, that last act, those last 30 minutes save this movie a lot, and end with such a huge positive note, and make this a much more positive review than it was going to be, before I saw those last 30 minutes, because those last 30 minutes were phenomenal. The definition of feeling like a kid again. So basically, the story with this Godzilla is, it's not really a reboot, explaining the whole thing over again. This is sort of a continuation to the 1954 Godzilla, in the fact that we already know he exists and all this. So basically, in the beginning, first it takes place in 1999. there's these two other monsters, and of course it's a Godzilla movie, so you have to have other, co-monsters with him. There's these other two monsters. They're called Mutos, Muto, and basically they're awoken. I don't know whether it was radioactive activity or they just woke up out of nowhere, but they wake up and hatch, and then there's all this seismic activity, and it causes a nuclear breakdown. I think in Japan, and there's this huge government conspiracy, all this cover up that it was an earthquake when it was really these monsters awakening, and then you get down the road a little bit to the movie. The monsters want to mate. And I'm going to try to keep this as spoiler free as possible, this review, so that people who haven't seen it could watch this review. The two non-Godzilla, the Mutos, they want to mate, and Godzilla eventually comes into the picture. The humans are debating whether to, attack him or let him balance out, the ecosystem, balance out the universe, and killing these monsters himself. So and then in there you've also got, and so basically the way this is a continuation is the fact that they know he exists. They covered up his existence from 1954, which is when the first movie came out, and all the nuclear testing in the 50s. It wasn't nuclear testing; it was them trying to kill Godzilla. And since then, he's just been undersea. He hasn't come up, but he comes up now when he hears these two Mutos wanting to mate. So yeah, and in there you've got a human story, which is one of the negatives, and I'll get to that now. I figure let's start off with the bad, right? I've got some bad news. Let's go with the bad news before we get to the good news. This way we can end on an upbeat note. So the bad is the human element to this movie. Now, I have no problem. I am all for a movie having heart, having humanity, having a human story to it. I mean, that's what gets us more connected. That's why, I really hate all this CGI bullshit, all this nonsense that, just distracts you from a stupid, bare bones plot, It's all about humanity. Now, the thing with these movies is there's two ways to do this type of movie. You have the human plot, have that be the driving force, a human plot to this monster, these type of monster movies, or you have a balls out, balls to the wall monster fest fight that sure, it's not very intelligent or intellectual, but it's fun to watch, Maggle, Yeah, so you have either the human element type of driven story or the balls to the wall monster mayhem mania. So those are the two paths to go with this, and this movie felt like it wanted to do one and it wanted to do the other, but it never went full into either one. That was the problem with this. The human element itself, the human story that this movie was touting to be for, it's just very lackluster and boring. And the thing is, the one character you do care about, I'm gonna keep this spoiler free. The one thing you do care about, they totally disrupted and throw it away. You'll understand when you go see the movie what I'm talking about. And then when they do that, you no longer have any interest in these human characters. Like I said, I'm all for. Look at Jaws. Jaws, you hardly ever spend time with the shark until the end, the same as this Godzilla. But just the chemistry between the three actors, these three guys on a boat, and their journey is just so interesting to watch, and it's so greatly written. That's why Jaws is such an amazing movie. Yeah, the shark is fucking great, but you have to spend a lot of time with these three guys on a boat, and they make it fun and interesting, and that's really propels the Jaws story. Now with Godzilla, it's not like that. It's all these cardboard wooden characters for the most part, and I'm not faulting the actors for that. I'm faulting the script because they never really go into these characters. I a lot of it is just, sitting back and saying, damn it, I want to see Godzilla at this point. I don't care about all this army jargon and army talk. Um, with these movies, another thing is when you go with the human element, when you're not going to go with the whole balls to the wall monster mayhem thing, the thing that movies of this type do best is represent themselves as themes of a broader thing, or messages or metaphors, like the original Godzilla. Godzilla was the result of all of our nuclear bombs. That was, he was a representation of that. He was a representation of our nuclear bombs, and we created this from all of our nuclear testing, and what we created is coming back to bite us in the ass. That was Godzilla. Look at Planet of the Apes, the whole broader aspect of that, the broader theme of that, this us, as a human race, enslaving and keeping captive humans and non-humans, animals, and always having a need to do that. And how ironic is it that in Planet of the Apes, because of our nuclear warfare, we're the ones that are captives, we're the ones that are slaves. That's the thing, because back then they had to figure out how to keep an audience interested without all these razzle dazzle effects. And it's bad to rely on effects so much these days because you miss out on the plot. So back then they had to actually think for once, and they had to actually write stories. And you got some great, allegorical stories, such as Planet of the Apes being a representation of what I said, because you couldn't rely on a bunch of fucking buildings blowing up and all this razzle dazzle CGI fest. And this movie didn't have that type of broad theme that this represents this and this, so it was just army wants to kill monsters, monsters want to destroy humans. That's it, pretty much. And the another setback with this movie is the movie is marketed as Godzilla. That's the name of the movie, but there's just not enough screen time for the guy. And I'm all for if a movie wants to keep an audience in suspense, not overdo something, because if this was in the hands of Michael Bay, Godzilla wouldn't miss one single shot. He'd be in every single shot, and we want to kill ourselves and say enough with this big green guy. I've had fucking enough with him. But I think Gareth Edwards, who directed this, it was too much holding back at a point where the audience was just getting very anxious and antsy and like, all right, come on, this is enough. Way too much dick teasing, I must say. I'm not talking about the last 30 minutes. The last 30 minutes are awesome, but way too much dick teasing working up to that, where Godzilla would go to fight the monster and they lock up, and then it would cut to a human people scene, and then you'd get another a human goes to the view of the monsters fighting, and he'd see them do something, and then it'd cut to something else, and it was like, oh, come on, just give me what I've been waiting for, damn it, I need my fix. Now I get it, like I said, you want to build up suspense, you don't want to blow your wad and blow it all at once, but I felt like he was just too hesitant at a fault to show the monster in all his glory until the last 30 minutes, and that's, giving compliments to the way Godzilla was done. And I'll talk about this with the good. Godzilla himself was so goddamn phenomenal. The best representation, in my opinion, I don't care, that I could remember. The best representation of Godzilla. And that's what made it so frustrating, that you didn't get enough of him because you wanted to see more of this Godzilla. He was amazing, with a capital A, a capital M, a capital A, a capital Z, a capital I, a capital N, and a capital G. Amazing. So, it was just frustrating not getting enough. And, it's just ridiculous that the other two monsters legit got more screen time than Godzilla himself. The guy that the movie is named after, the guy who is bringing out the audience to come shell out $20 for this movie, he's upstaged by these two jobber monsters. It makes no sense. But so those are a couple of the bad things. There might be a couple other bad things, but very minor. But let's talk about the good. Like I said, Godzilla himself, just phenomenal. The special effects in this movie is amazing, very, very amazing. You know, it was like you got all kinds of destruction. Yeah, I kind of negatively criticized CGI and all this, but this is Godzilla. You have to have that, and they just devastated the buildings, and they put the god in Godzilla because Godzilla looked like a god. Just the way he destroyed everything. He was huge. I mean, the guy, it was huge, like 3 times bigger than the original Godzillas. I mean, there was these great shots leading up to the reveal where you see his tail, and then you see, before you even see his tail, it's this great shot where you're seeing like scales of Godzilla, and you think you're about to see the reveal of him, but the camera's going back more and more, extending back more and more, and you're realizing he's just filling up more and more space, and he's huge. Oh, great execution right there. And then you see his tail, and then you see his foot, and then the camera pans up, and you see him in all its glory, and he lets out that iconic roar. Godzilla, this is the problem, because they build up a lot of this movie making you try to care about the humans, but no, we care about Godzilla. He's the best thought out and written character in this movie. Godzilla and his monster companions. I mean, even his companions, like, you feel more emotionally invested in them than you do the people. Like when the two monsters, they see their eggs when John Lennon, because I'm calling him John Lennon. I don't know what the actor's name, but he played John Lennon in a movie. When the John Lennon guy, he destroys their eggs, their little babies, and you kind of feel bad for the other monsters, That's the thing, so it was hard. But, enough about the negative. So, yeah, just great freaking effects. Amazing, amazing stuff. And you really feel like connected to Godzilla. Just so much badassery with him. Just one of the best written out characters in a long time, and he's CGI. He's not even human. That's great. This is what CGI should be used for, stuff like this. And just really, really phenomenal. And the fight scene at the end, the last 30 minutes, really just stole the show. I mean, this is the definition of feeling like a kid again. When you see Godzilla and his spikes start to light up, and he lets out that fire blue atomic breath onto the monster, the Muto. The whole audience was cheering. I got chills. Even from the first roar. Oh man, I can't express to you how great they just built up the creature himself, Godzilla. Just fantastic. Words can't even express. And the whole cheering thing, I've seen a video that Brad Rules do about the Amazing Spider-Man 2, where he talks about, he doesn't like when fans cheer at a movie theater because it's not live, it's on film. But, there's some things where it's not about cheering the actors or the directors or the writers themselves. I'm not cheering Anthony Hopkins' performance, but I'm cheering a moment, a great moment. Like, yeah, this happened, and I'm feeling like a kid again. So, I take exception a little bit to that. Like, I think it's sometimes it's appropriate to cheer. Like, I remember seeing The Dark Knight Rises, and when the Bane's guys are on the motorcycles, and you see one just get knocked down, and then the camera slowly reveals that Batman is suited up again, and Bruce Wayne has become Batman again, and everybody cheers. It's just a great moment because you just want to get invested. I could imagine, watching Rocky for the first time. That's a movie you'd want to, be in the movie theater cheering for. It just adds to the experience. So there are some movies, it's fine to clap. And this is one of those movies when you see Godzilla let out the atomic breath, when you see him roar for the first time. Oh, just moment after moment. Um, so yeah, it's basically all in all, Godzilla really saves this show. It's all about the monster, it really is, and I have never seen a character this perfectly executed. Gareth Edwards obviously cares a lot about the character. He really wanted to represent him in a good way. Screw all these Japanese people calling him fat and all this. Oh, it doesn't look like our Godzilla. It doesn't look like a guy in a suit. Screw that. This is the best representation of the character. He looked like a god. And down to the last shot, just iconic moments. You know, moments that are going to stick with you. Moments that are going to solidify their place in movie history. Phenomenal effects. If this doesn't win like some type of special effects rewards, then you know something is wrong, because this was phenomenal in that department. So yeah, that's my review, pretty much my spoiler free review. Like I said, the human elements, they weren't really, you know, given that much, not that much attention, I want to say, but they didn't cross, they didn't transfer. We didn't care. We didn't care about these characters, and there was nothing ever smartly written to make us care about these characters. And in doing so, we just kept being anxious about wanting to see Godzilla, wanting to see the monsters, and because it takes a damn long time to get to that, it kind of feels like two different movies. A reviewer said this very good. He said it felt like two different movies scotch taped together, and that is what it felt like. You know, you get this human element without any investment in the humans, or without a broader theme or broader message like they used to do, so you can't really rely on that. Yet, so you want to have an all-out monster brawl, but you're not really getting that. You're just getting teases, and then in the last 30 minutes, it gets saved. Not to say that everything before the last 30 minutes sucked, but seriously, this was, going into the last 30 minutes, a decent movie, but those last 30 minutes, it's a once-in-a-lifetime experience, especially going to see this best screen possible, best sound possible. I mean, when Godzilla roars, the theater literally shook. You felt the vibration, and that's how it should be. Don't go see this on a small screen with whack, horrible sound equipment. Go see this so you can feel like a kid again, so you could want to cheer when you see him do the atomic breath thing and roar, and when he's slowly revealed. I mean, just awesome. Like I said, put the god back in Godzilla. Much better than that 1998 bullshit. So yes, very good movie, very good. Could have been better. I mean, sure, I'm thinking about those last 30 minutes, but when I get down to it, it really could have been better. Given more investment, not more attention, because they gave attention to the human characters, but making us care about them, giving them quality material rather than just them being jabronis and wooden characters. That would have made this better. But still, definitely, I recommend it. Recommend to go see it. Recommend to go see it in the movie theater. Godzilla, classic movie character. And if Godzilla, the CGI character, could win an Academy Award, he should. Best Actor of the Year, by far. So there you go. There's my review. I'll have a review next week. Another film review. It'll be X-Men Days of Future Past. I'm gonna go see that one. I'm actually gonna rewatch, or in cases watch for the first time, the past X-Men movies. I'm gonna start right now. Get ready for that, and then I'll have a review of X-Men Days of Future Past probably next Friday. So yeah, let me know what you think. If you saw Godzilla, if you didn't, your connection to Godzilla, memories, favorite movies, favorite things, yada yada yada, whatever you want to talk about. As always, I'm Jay Shady, the voice of reason. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you later.